Guys, it's your girl L coming to you live from the ATL, and welcome to Gma It Ain't Over. I haven't posted anything for a little minute, and I apologize for that. I had to take a little time to reset, right? But before I get started, I just want to say that I don't own any rights to any music that you may hear in my background. If you guys know me, I always like to have a little ambience, a little vibe going on, right? And so, but the second thing I wanted to do is to thank one of my fans who left me a very encouraging message, and it just basically says that she liked my channel and that I should keep going, and that inspired me because, as I said, I was experiencing just a little time when I needed to kind of reset, and so and that's what I did. I took a little time to reset and think about things, and so here I'm back at any rate, and I hope that somebody missed me. Well, basically just knowing that one person missed me made my heart melt, and I just want to thank you. If you are the person who left that comment, you know who you are, and so you get, kudos from me for that. But speaking of reset, I just, I like to, most of my subjects are going to be pulling from my own thoughts and my own experiences, right? And so I was kind of thinking about the effects of the pandemic. And let me tie this in because I had done a video just a little while back. I think my very last video was about aging with value. And, it kind of occurred to me that during the pandemic, there was a little a shift, a little reset in value when it came down to grown folks, right? And so I loved it because starting from the top, I realized that kind of, whenever I go out to fast food restaurants in particular, I find that the customer service can be pretty, it can be pretty disturbing. It feels that when it comes down to age discrimination and, when it comes down to age discrimination in the employment force, most people, and the youth kind of dominate that particular area of employment. And there are a couple of reasons. Typically, they don't pay very well, and adults do need to get paid a little bit more. Most of the children are just, they're living with their parents, and they're living depending on their parents' income, and so therefore they don't need very much in employment. But the other thing is that they don't seem to need or appreciate employment the way grown folks do. If we get a job, trust me, we're going to show up and show out. And that's most of us. When I talk about any particular subject, we always know that there are exceptions to the rule. And so, but for the most part, the adults have matured, and so anything that we do, anything we venture into, we're going to put our best foot forward. And we do come from that generation that the customer is always right. And we do know that the customer is not always right about everything, and we do know that customers can be very rude. But we do know that in a professional environment, we just don't give attitude, and the children seem to be like full of attitude. But one of the shifts, the biggest resets or shifts in when it came down to economics and finances, whatever, was that and employment, was that the youth kind of discovered e-commerce. They have always been a little bit more inept or innate, I think, or you get what I'm saying. they are more tech savvy than we are, and they are more, it comes more natural because they grew up in the environment. Even my granddaughter, and I have videos to really actually show at 3 years old. She actually came out of the womb, I promise you. The child was doing this little thing with her finger. And one day I said to myself, if I didn't think I was tripping, you know, I would really say that this young girl, this baby is really actually trying to swipe at the phone because she saw us so much swiping. I mean, if you have a smartphone, in particular an iPhone, you know what I mean, the swipe. So she always was doing a little finger like that, and by the time she was 3 years old, she was actually, no, one. By the time she was about 1 year old, she was playing her little video games, which really are computerized games that are designed from 1 to 3 or whatever. But she was quite familiar with technology, and so it just, in other words, it comes a lot more natural for them than it does us. Some of us, I try to tell people and encourage people in my age category, some of us are a little intimidated by technology. We always, you know, a lot of times we find ourselves saying, baby, you know the grandmother that says, baby, come on over here, you know, and come over here and show me how to work this thing. Like, how, you know, if anything goes wrong with our technology, like the television or, you know, technical devices in our homes, we kind of pretty much need the children to show us how to operate it, right? Things like doing searches on television for different programs and the voice operated. I mean, you know, technology is just off the chain these days. And so, at any rate, so they are just more in tune with that. And so the shift or the reset was that they all kind of moved. There was like this movement of people setting up e-commerce businesses, you know, with the help of the pandemic emergency funds and everything. The youth kind of just learned, hey, I don't have to get up out of my bed. I don't have to get out of my bed and go take, you know, the crap, as they call it. You know, take somebody's crap who's going to pay me $10 or $12 an hour when I can make $1,200 or $1,500 like in minutes. And so that's just what happened. So there became this shift, and it was really kind of much needed because I found myself every time I would go to, in particular, a fast food restaurant, and I would get the treatment and the attitude, I was thinking to myself, they need to get some more mature adult people. And then you also found that there was always a shortage. So lines, you know, got to be sometimes a little bit longer. The waits, you know, would get a little bit longer. Yeah, so a lot of things were affected by the fact that the youth were shifting over to the e-commerce, which left the door open for grown folks to step in and actually, you know, and occupy some of those jobs that became available. And yeah, so I always have a little story. It was just really like Friday night. For instance, my daughter and I, we had done a fashion show, and that lasted, like, I think we got out of here close to 11 o'clock at night or a little bit after 11. And so the concern was everything's closed down, so we're gonna have to try to find something to eat because, you know, the day begins, you have to start preparing and you find yourself not eating. And so we hadn't had anything to eat. And here it is, you know, 11 going on 12 o'clock at night. And so, of course, we had to come up with a fast food option. And we get to one of the major chains And as much as I really don't even really like fast food is like emergency hair. Sometimes, you gotta do it. You gotta do what you gotta do. And so, yeah, so we ended up in the fast food line, and this voice comes on, and it says, "Hi, welcome to McDonald's. How can I help you?" And so we began to give our order, and we had questions to ask, and she was more like, like my daughter-in-law, I have to say, is pretty famous for having a lot of questions. And just for instance, she might ask, "Do you have a cherry Coke?" And like a lot of places don't carry particular brands, whatever, but no, that's not, so, but the lady, my whole point was that the lady was extremely patient and polite, and I could tell that it was a mature voice, I could tell that she was a grown lady, a grown woman, and she handled herself. And when she finished taking our order, my comment was to my daughter-in-law is like, she was so polite. But I could kick myself for not saying to her thank you, because it was just on the tip of my tongue to say thank you for being so polite. You give such great customer service, And so my whole point here is that the shift in employment has created an opportunity or an opportunity for employers to view the mature adult or grown folks, elderly, senior citizens, whatever we want to call ourselves, more valuable, to start to really see the value in us. And so this is why, I am always encouraging people to stay up on technology, to look up, use the Google man, to research information, to stay healthy, alive, and alert, and don't let the sun go down on you, because when opportunity knocks, we got to be able to answer that. We need to be, we need to have all those things, all of our, our right mind, our health, our stamina, because the other thing that shifted long before the pandemic is the retirement age and the requirements that it takes, or the thing, the way we're living versus, I don't know, I just remember studying in sociology that the baby boomers, the baby boomer generation, would find ourselves having to work all into our 70s because the funds were running low, and you hear all the time, rumors about the Social Security funds being depleted, but the fact that inflation in our world is just so massive. I mean, basically the Social Security, even if it's available, is usually not enough. And so we may find ourselves out here needing to take on part-time jobs. I think that a good amount of us don't want to necessarily be sitting at home, and we like to stay busy, and we just would prefer not to be forced into a sedentary lifestyle. And so yeah, but that was the reset that I felt was necessary. One of the resets. My pastor always talks about, well, he doesn't always, but at any rate, at one point I heard him say something like, if you chew the beef and spit out the fat, right? So we always talk about bittersweet. So for me, most situations in my life, I have managed to try to find something positive about it, even death. Of course, there's going to be some things that we mourn to the point that we really don't see any positive. And I can't say that 100% that there's something positive in every tragedy, but if you can find something positive, it can a lot of times help you to get through the tragic situation that you're experiencing. And so, yeah, so my bittersweet moments were just kind of came from the fact that finally we can get some good customer service, and yeah, you know, and now America's finally listening to, we're still valuable. We represent the elderly, the older people. We are still valuable. We are still much needed, a much needed group in this society. It takes a village. It takes a multitude of people. You know, one set of people cannot. You know, you can't just have rich people. You can't just have poor people. You can't have just white people, just black people. The world is a variety, and it all comes together as glue. And as long as I have breath in my body, I want to feel valued. I want to operate as a valued person on this planet. Yeah, I've experienced in my lifetime. I have definitely experienced some age discrimination, and it is a real part of our society that we need to kind of check ourselves. It's to the point now that our society doesn't like to tolerate discrimination, or at least that's what we say. But yeah, some things, it seems to be taking a little bit longer to catch on, yeah, than others. And so age discrimination is one of the things that we really need to pay attention to. And yeah, so my grown folks, get ready, stay ready. If you, they say if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And so I hope you guys are still practicing the anti-gravity movements that help to really just kind of uplift the spirits and, you know, help us to create a more positive appearance. There is nothing wrong. I never mean to. One of the things I want to always be careful about is I don't want to step on anybody's toes, because me personally, I don't feel that any particular, I think if you follow me, or if you go back, if you followed me from the beginning, you would know that I don't advocate a particular dress size or a particular size of a person. I find a good, healthy, positive attitude, a bright smile, and a positive spirit, a positive attitude. That's what's beautiful to me, right? There's no particular color, hair, race, or any of that, you know, aesthetically, just spiritually. That's where I find beauty. And I think that you sometimes you find when a person finds himself in a position not being able to care for themselves, their attitude changes, their attitude resets, it shifts into you know, people start to call them grumpy. You know, people get a little grumpy behind that. And I mean, it's really because of what they're feeling on the inside. A lot of times you'll see people actually push their caretakers, you know, or, you know, just really have a really bad attitude. And it's because of what they're feeling on the inside. And so my encouragement is that fight that gravity. Just fight it all the way, as much as you can. Some of us have already found ourselves disabled. But if you're laying in the bed with an oxygen tank and you're paralyzed from head to toe, If you have the ability to form an attitude, it could be positive as well as it could be negative. I mean, you have the choice. You have the choice, and it's all about what's going on up in the air. And sometimes it could be more difficult. I give you that. I give you that. Everybody doesn't necessarily. Everybody who falls in a slump doesn't necessarily know how to get out of that slump, and so I can't speak to everything and everybody. There's always going to be exceptions to the rules. I have to acknowledge that everybody's not like me. Everybody's not like you. So I do acknowledge that. Again, never wanting to step on people's toes. But that was my message today. About the reset, and so the opportunities have been made available, and I just want us to take every opportunity we can to show the world our value. And if you're one of the people who is in the position where you're retired alone and living on a budget and need a little extra income, if you're able, now you know. Everywhere I go, now hiring. There's shortages because the youth, things have just shifted. And so let's just show the world our value. Let's get out here. The one thing too, in showing our value, let's also come to a point where the fast food and retail industries, if we're going to get into it and we recognize our value, let's not sell ourselves short. Let's not sell ourselves for pennies. Let's not give them the opportunity that they can pay us. Now, I mean, the opportunity that they can pay us less. You understand what I'm saying? Make sure you get what you're worth. Don't sell yourself short in that area, and make sure that people know that you know the value of your health, yourself, and your worth. You just So what we want to do is. We want to rally, lobby, whatever it is. We are in a position where we do have some supplemental income. And so also realizing that, because, all the time you're not going to win those battles. If you go against the grain of what's happening out there, typically fast food chains, retails, and some of the positions that the youth have abandoned. They're not really high-paying jobs, but you also have to realize there's no shame in accepting what is offered, because we do have some income, and so sometimes we find ourselves in a position to be able to accept a little less than what we needed before we started receiving the supplemental income. But then at the same time, let's not get it twisted, because sometimes you go in and you accept a certain amount, and it's just a slow boil. It's just a slow pace of ever getting you to what you're really actually worth. So we do have to be careful about that. If there's any room for negotiation in any of the positions, because I mentioned fast food and retail. Those are the ones that come to mind at the moment, but there are positions that are becoming available. I actually went to the bank the other day, and I was really quite disappointed because they didn't have a customer service representative that could help me due to a shortage of workers. The lady said, I only have one worker and she's with the customer, he or she is with the customer, and when they finish, they're going to go to lunch. She actually asked me if I had an appointment, when the same bank that I've patronized for over 20 years, I was always able to walk into that bank and just get flooded with. Sometimes it's like, oh, can I breathe? You know what I mean? People like running to find out what they could do for me. You know, how they could help me. And now I had to schedule an appointment, and I had to go online. You know, go through all the hassles. I couldn't, of course, schedule an appointment with her because she was tending to a customer. So yeah, there are a lot of things that have been reset. Our lives have been totally reset. But let's just take that positive change right there, and let's just run with it. We are valued. We are valuable. Yes, grown folks, know your value. Take advantage of this reset. I love you guys. Peace out. Have a lovely day. Enjoy your Sunday. Hasta la vista, babies.